All right, good morning, everybody. Says we are live. Again, doing this from the laptop this morning. So we're going to see if we can easily tag anybody. Still haven't figured that part out. Super easy on the phone. Little button pops up and it's like, okay, who do you want to tag? All right, let me just refresh the group. Make sure that you all can see me. Hey, there we are. Perfect. So we are live. Let's see, will let me add people. Not easily. Okay, that's fine because most of you by now have already kind of been conditioned. This is the habit. This is now day 22. And like we've been talking about for the last 3 weeks here, when we can consistently do something for at least 3 days, it builds a habit. After 3 weeks, it reinforces that habit and starts to build it into a routine. And so now we're starting to get to that point of where it's really comfortable to just wake up in the mornings and hop on this call, go through our power warm up, and really start our day off on the right foot. So, this last bit of the challenge, as we really solidify this new routine, we're going to talk about things that are going to be able to take this routine to the next level. How do we take now all right, we know what we're doing, we know why we're doing it, we know how to do it, but now we need to really buy into the process and stick with it. And this is where we're going to see some really big results. And it's really important that we fully embody ourselves into the routine to get exactly what it is we're looking for. Now, before we hop into the routine, we had some good questions come in and I wanted to take a second to address those. Awesome. We got Jerry, #live. Jerry, thanks for hopping on. So we had a couple of questions come in from the group. One of them, and I apologize, missed this one from about 2 days ago, comes in from Chad, and he was talking about how when he wakes up in the morning and first thing out of bed, he's feeling a little stiff and tight and wants to know what he can do to either help mitigate that or maybe sleep in a different position. This is a really good question. So let's look at it from this perspective that for the most part we want to be in a state of movement. That's what we as humans are intended to do. So real quick, I'm just going to move my screen because the screen I'm looking at has quite the lag. All right, much better. Now I can actually see live what's going on and I know where my hands are and if I'm on the screen or not. All right, so we as humans are intended to be in nearly constant movement. The thing is, today's society sets us up for failure. Okay, there's not a lot of times that we can constantly move with the traditional workplace of sitting behind a desk 9 to 5, being in the car, commuting to work, taking the kids to sports practices, everything like that. We're almost always sitting or just otherwise being sedentary, not moving. And so the first key is moving as much as we can within our current range of motion. Now we're going through this routine to learn how to improve our range of motion, which takes dedicated energy and focus, which is what we're doing just 5-10 minutes a day, and that's going to improve the range of motion. But then once we have the range of motion, it's about moving as much as we can to retain it. Okay, and so throughout the day, anything that we can do to bend, twist, move, run, crawl, jump, anything like that, it's all going to help. So a couple of the key things that we should be doing every day, we should always be squatting down at least as low as we can go, what we call ass to grass. Feet are flat on the ground. I'm squatting as low as I can go. I want to hang out here. This is a really fundamental movement pattern as a human. It is something that most of us don't do. So this is something that make sure that you do. Just throughout the day. What can I do? Okay, let me pick that thing up. Let me squat all the way down. So that's one of them. The other thing that we should all be doing is touching our toes. Okay? Now, some of you can't touch your toes, at least not yet, and that's what this routine is going to help you do. Is it's going to help you improve your range of motion so that you can touch your toes, because that's a very, very important one. So we want to be able to hinge. So we want to be able to squat. We want to be able to hinge. So throughout the day, anything we can do to squat and anything we can do to hinge, that's going to be great. The other thing is we want to get our arms over our head. Okay, this is something that, again, we don't do very much throughout the day unless we're golfing, and luckily almost everybody in this group is a golfer. But if you're not a golfer, it's not common to get your hands over your head. And if you are a golfer, you're trying to get your arms over your head, but maybe you're so tight in the chest and the shoulder that you can't, and it starts to kind of pull on you and create a lot of problems, and that's a different issue. But the idea is get your arms above your head. What can you do up here? Reach for the top shelf at the grocery store, or shoot some basketball where your arms get above your head. But anything we can do, even if it's just moving them around, doing jumping jacks, just get those arms up there. Get them up there, because if you don't use it, you lose it. Okay? We want to twist. We do this in the power warm-up routine. We twist our body side to side. We twist standing up, and we twist bending over. Okay, so this is really important. And then the last piece with that twisting is we also want to be able to dissociate. We want, say, our lower body to be able to move without our upper body, and we want our upper body to move without our lower body. Here's Mr. Goose. Mr. Goose says, I want to play with a toy. All right, we'll give him a little tug. But this is a great example. So Goose has come in and he said, look, Dad, another thing that you forgot about is playing. You gotta play. You gotta get down here and you gotta squat and you gotta rub your dog, and then you gotta bend over, and then you gotta pick him up, and then you gotta put him down. Okay? Anything that we can do to move like humans are intended to move is going to help out. And if we can go through our warm-up routine in the morning to prep ourselves, and then if we can continue to move throughout the day, we don't stiffen up. And this is a long-winded way of getting back to the question of what happens when I first get out of bed. And this is probably something that most of us deal with. I know I, in particular, do. I have a mild herniation in my L4, L5. And this is something that causes me a lot of problems, especially first thing in the morning. And the reason why is, if you think about it, sleeping, you're not moving for anywhere from like 6 to 10 hours. And if you fall asleep in a weird position, your body's just gonna tense up and adapt to that position. And then when you try to move around, your body's gonna be like, oh no, this sucks. Stop doing that. So the first thing is, if you're having trouble waking up, moving around, doing the power warm-up, the reason why we say do this within the first hour of waking up is sometimes you just need to get up and move around. Get out of bed, walk around, do the stairs a couple of times, try to squat, try to bend, go get your mail, walk your dogs, anything you can do, just get the blood flowing, get your body warm, get everything loose, because that's going to help out tremendously. If your body is warm, you're just going to have an easier time going through this routine. So that's probably number one. And then number two is taking the time, if you know you have a specific area that hurts, to work on it to make it not hurt. Now, the question in particular was talking about the lower back, and the lower back is tricky because this lower back is not meant to move around. We don't want to over-mobilize our lower back. The more we mobilize our lower back, the worse that pain is likely going to become. And that's because the lower back is a stable segment. It's not meant to move around. We want it to be braced. That's what our core is for, is to hold it in place so it doesn't move around. Now, that could cause aggravation with things like, say, the toe touch sky reach, where we're bending up and down over and over again. If that segment doesn't like to move and now we're forcing it to move, that can cause a lot of problems. So really the solution, if we're having low back problems, is to look above and below. Above it, we're talking about the chest and the shoulders and a little bit of the neck. This area up here is very mobile. We should be able to turn our head side to side and look all around. We should be able to take our shoulders and internally, externally rotate them, go up, go down, go forward, go back. And we should be able to take the chest and turn it side to side around our spine. So there's a lot of mobility that happens right here. And if this is tight, because we're slouching, or we're texting, or we're driving, or we're just otherwise not aware of bad posture, this becomes tight and puts a lot of tension on the lower back. Then we go to move, and the lower back's like, nope, 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 nope. And so then we look down below, and that's the hips. So the hips are below the lower back here in the core area. And again, very mobile areas. We should be able to turn it side to side. We should be able to go forward and back. We should be able to move laterally. There's a lot of mobility in these very big ball and socket joints. For me in particular, that's where a lot of my back pain is resolved, is through the hips. If I can keep my hips open, my back pain tends to go away, at least most of it. There's certainly some things with the upper body that help out as well, but when it comes to my L4, L5, work on that lower body. And sometimes it's just a matter of hanging out in a position that's a little bit uncomfortable and breathing and going through our power stretching. And then over time, it adapts to it. But we never force ourselves. We always just sneak our way to the end of that range of motion where we can't do any more, and then we hang out there. We contract, we breathe, we move, and over time, because consistency compounds, over time, that tightness gives in and our range of motion increases. So hopefully that has answered the question. I'm going to go back to the main page here where there is a little bit of a delay. Just want to see if any new questions have come in before we move into today's routine. We got another hashtag live. Perfect. All right, so let's get after it today. Today is day 22. It's already a habit, so we know what to do. Let's do it. Let's bring that leg nice and high. Let's squeeze the forearm. I'm going to close my eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open my eyes, catch my balance, switch sides, and then close them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Into the shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice stretch across the outside of the shoulder. Turn that hand, pull the fingers back. Hey, Goose. And back down. And up. And back down. Switch sides. See if you guys can hear that. So I get a little clicking through the shoulders. Happens all the time. Clicking's not painful. The clicking is just basically that ball and socket joint trying to get back into its home. It's just off a little bit because the muscle tension's off. We want to reset it, and that's what the clicking is. It's just getting it back where we need it to go. Into the diver's presses. We can add a little side to side. We can add a little hand action. Turn them, press them, breathe, sweep down, back up. Good. Feeling good today. From here into our flip downs. And our toe touches. Oh, did you find another toy? What about this toy? Oh, good boy. Oh, you want that toy. All right, now, everybody's favorite. Three of you have reached out, said in the comments, this is my favorite, the side bend. So let's get after it. I do love a good side bend. Very, very effective at opening up the entire side of our body, something that most of us don't do. Talking about, going back to the beginning of this video, I'd say this is one of them. Let's throw this in there as well. Side bending, squatting, hinging, twisting, dissociating, side bending, all very important. So we're going to double up on it today. There it is. Into our twists. over. And hip time. All right. And then finally, let's go hang out with Mr. Goose down here. Yeah. How you doing? Good. Switch sides. You gotta come over here now. Oh, and here comes Miss Ruby to say hi. Hi, Ruby. Yeah, were you jealous if brother was on the internet and you weren't? Well, okay, now here you are too. Oh, you just want the belly rubs. Okay, everybody, as you can see, it's time to be a dog dad. Power warm-up is done, and we're feeling good, so now let's go play. Because at the end of the day, that's why we do this in the first place, is we all want to play. We want to play golf, we want to play with the dogs, we want to play with the kids, we want to play in life. And to be able to do that, we need to be able to move better. Because when we move better, we play better. Keep the questions coming. I love it. I'll catch you all tomorrow.